We're going to go into our student story session. So I'm going to introduce Nora. Nora, come join me into the student session. Hi, Nora.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We are so excited, Nora, to have you here today. For every teacher, it is so important to get student perspective as to, how are students actually using Quizlet? Because we might be educators in the classroom and we know how we use Quizlet for things, but it's going to be very important to hear perspective on your end. So before we get started with how you actually use Quizlet, we need to know a little bit more about you. So if you can go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're at in school, where do you go, what are you studying, all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Nora. I was born and raised in Austin, Texas, but I'm entering my second year at the University of California in Berkeley. I'm majoring in environmental economics and policy, and I'm super excited to talk about Quizlet today.
Awesome. So what does a typical school week look like for you? Now you're off right now, right? Or did you?
Yeah, so I'm off right now. I start next month. Excited to start learning again. But I'm also in a sorority and I play club volleyball at school. So I'm pretty busy. It's good for me though. I appreciate the structure, but that means that I don't have as much time to study as I would like to. So what I try to do is I try to knock it all out in the morning because I like having my nights to myself, whether I have practice after school or want to hang out with my friends. I find myself more productive in the morning. So I'll go to campus, go to a library, try and study in between classes. And the great part about Quizlet is it's easy to go anywhere. If you're at a coffee shop, if you're in a library, even if you're on the city bus and you need to study a few terms, it's perfect.
Oh, for sure. What are some of your favorite classes?
Oh, so I took a Power and Politics in Southeast Asia class. That was super unique, super different, but I loved it because it had challenged all my preconceived notions of what religion was and what power was. And it really forced me to learn. So that was probably one of my favorites.
What are some of the ways you stay motivated about your time as a student? You said that in the morning feels best to you, but what keeps you motivated to continue to take that time to study?
Yeah. So besides coffee, Quizlet has a little notification center where you can get notifications that says hey, you hit your 7-day streak. Or don't forget to study today. So that little reminder it feels like I have someone on my side and they're saying, you can do it one more day. So those little notifications help. And just feeling more secure that I'm learning and I know the terms and I'm not as stressed about it.
Do you remember how you learned about Quizlet?
Yeah, so it was a long time ago. I've been using Quizlet since 8th or 9th grade. But I think I heard about it from a friend, and then my teacher started using it in class, and that was super helpful.
Wow. Well, we are really excited here to see how you use Quizlet. So if you could walk us through how you use Quizlet and show us all the features, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll start sharing my screen. Alrighty. So right here, I have Quizlet. So we're in the home screen right now. And as you can see, there's a few different terms that I have underneath. And what I like to do is I like to explore all the different features. So here's study sets, and then you have solutions, courses, folders. I have mine into folders based off of my classes. So for microeconomics, I have one for my anthropology class and for my ancient history and Rome class. So I have them all blocked into folders. And as you click into each one, there's several different study sets. So my favorite part is I can study other student sets, so it's not just mine. So let's see if we want to study one. So if I go to Anthro, there's all these different features at the top here, and they each do different things. So the best part about this is you can choose the way you want to learn depending on how much time you have. And so here, we're under the flashcards right now, and if you want to just see the definition or the term, you flip it. And then under options, there's an options to do card sorting. So what that means is you're able to sort the term into whether or not you know it really well, or if you don't know it that well. So let's say, I'm not sure, I didn't get the definition right. I press the X and it'll go into still learning, as you can see in the top left corner right there. And then if I do know it, then it goes to the right. So that's a really great part about the flashcards. I'll go into the next feature. This one is my absolute favorite. This is going to be the learn feature. So basically, as you keep going, if you get questions wrong, it'll cycle those questions more often. So you learn them and you really have them down pat for your test or quiz or whatever it is. And there's different ways that you can do this. So there's a write mode, a spell mode, and a question format. So you can answer with a term, you can answer with the definition. And my favorite part about this is if you get it wrong, it's okay, because you know it'll come back to you. And so there, I got it wrong, but it's going to show me the right definition. And so now I know for the future. But let's say I don't want to learn anymore. I'm kind of done with that. Then I can go to the test feature. So I usually go to the test feature when I'm feeling pretty good about it. Like I've got my test coming up tomorrow. I've learned the terms. I've studied the flashcards. I go to test. And then here you have your options. So you can either do true or false, you can do multiple choice, or you can do matching. You can also do written. So this is where you have to type in the answers. I typically do written when I really want to understand a term, because then it forces me to really recall it and make sure I have it. Matching is one of my other favorites for terms. I'm pretty confident on, I know them. Multiple choice, I typically do this for multiple choice tests so that I get used to the format and I'm not super stressed when the test is completely different from what I've been studying. And then true and false is the same story. And the other good thing about this is, so we have 104 terms on this study set. Now, that is way too many to go for right now with the group we're in. So I can do 5. And that's great because it'll give me 5 terms and I can start doing it. And here you'll see 2 different options. So there's smart grading and then there's also standard grading. So smart grading is if you do a typo or you do something a little bit off from the right answer, it'll still count it correct. But standard grading means that you have to get it exactly right. And then here you'll see you can answer with a term or you can also answer with a definition. And then you can just X out of it. The best part is that all of it's saved. It auto saves it, so you don't have to worry about it going away if you want to change your settings. And so here at the top, we can see I have 0 out of 20. So then I can just start answering them. Now I'm not doing 100% right now for our sake. And then you go all the way to the bottom, and here's an example of a type the answer. So these are all type the answer. And then here, these are the matching ones. So you'll just go in order of how you think they go. And let's say, oh no, I want to change my answer again. I can just X out of it and replace it with something else. And here, this is the matching again. So then you go down to the bottom and you'll press submit test. So I skipped some questions, but I'll do submit test anyway. And it'll show you how many you got correct and how many you got incorrect. So I like to review this, see how close I was. Let's see how many I missed, especially if it's been a long day and I see myself towards the end, I'm getting impatient, I get more wrong. Or in the beginning, I'm really going strong. It's a great way to see that. And I can kind of gauge how I give myself a break based off of my speed on that. But here you can see that you have the learn option, and then you also have a take a new test option. So if I've missed a lot, so let's say I missed 17 terms, I think that's the perfect time to practice them again. I don't really know it. I'm not really ready to get tested on it. Let's keep learning. But let's say I got 17 out of 20. Then I'd say, you know what, let me take a new test. Let me get some different questions, get some of the old ones. I'm feeling pretty confident. Also, for teachers, there's a print test option. And this is great because you can give it to your students. Now, you can do this without having the answers on it, but you can give it to your students, and it's a great way to practice handwriting because I know not all of our tests are online anymore, moving back from COVID. But the test is another one of my favorite features. Now, here's match. This one is really neat. So what you have to do is you have to match the terms to the definitions, and it times you. So as you can see, this one goes pretty fast. If you don't know the definition, it'll kick it back to you, and then you get it right and it'll disappear. So you go through all that, and then when you're done, it'll give you a time. And sorry, I'm just kind of randomly doing this right now. But it'll give you a time. See, so congratulations, I got first place because I've only done this once so far. I reset the study set. But yeah, I got first place. So if you want to play again, you can keep playing and it'll record your best times here. Also, if you want to get a little bit competitive with a friend or a fellow student, this is a great way to do that. I'll just go back to set. So this option is really, really cool too. So this is going to be called QChat. So Rory mentioned a little bit earlier, it sounds like you guys are going to have another session on this. But this has been super, super helpful for me. If I can't get a teacher, if there's no room, whatever. If I can't find anyone to help me study, this is great because it feels very personalized and it has lots of great information. So there's a few different options as you can see on the bottom. So I would like to study for my Anthropology 2 final, and I can select either one of these activities that I want. So you know what? Quiz me. So what it does is it'll give you different types of questions that it'll quiz you. So maybe I don't know the answer. Say, I'm not sure, I don't know. The great part about this is it will tell you the answer, but it'll have to make you guess it. So it really wants you to think about it. And maybe I want to apply my knowledge a little bit more. I'm not really feeling the quiz me. It's not really working for me. So it'll ask you another question. Now, these questions are all based off of your study set, whatever you create, whether it's biology, chemistry, math, whatever. This is all based off of which one you want to study. So it'll ask you different questions, maybe from the set or that are related to the set. And it's a great way to study and expand knowledge. So these are kind of random too. But if I don't also want to apply my knowledge, let's say I get the wrong answer. I'll just say flowers. It says, that's not correct, but it wants us to try. It's a great way to recenter on the topic. If you're getting a little lazy, if you're not really sure, it's a great way to help. And then I say, can you help me with anthropology in San Francisco? Because I missed that last question. It'll help you. And it'll ask, what do you want to study? What can I help you about? What things are you confused about? We'll go back up here and try to tell me a fun fact option. Now, I like this one. If I'm getting a little tired, I'm getting a little down, just give me a fun fact. I'd really love to hear something new, something to freshen up my mind. It'll give you a fun fact related to the subject that you're studying. So this is really interesting too. And I love these because it really helps me tie in what I'm learning to real world applications too. Because a lot of the fun facts are related. They are related to what you're studying. They're related to class, and they really help expand your knowledge on what you're trying to learn. Now, let's say I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. You can start a whole new chat. Go from the beginning, and you can do any of this too. Now I'll X out of that. And I'll talk a little bit about my study methods too. I try to use the Pomodoro method. So I do 20 minutes on, 5 minutes off, and you keep going until you gradually build up your time. So the more time you study, the more time you also get off. I found this method really helpful, and Quizlet is perfect for it, whether it's flashcards, learning, testing, matching. I noticed a significant increase in my grades once I started using Quizlet. And it was great for me. I used it everywhere. It really worked with my schedule and time. So I really enjoyed it. And my favorite feature is the test. So as I mentioned before, you can set it up with however you want to do it. So you can do 10 questions, 19 questions, however many. And as we saw last time, I had only gotten I only got 3 right. But let's do this real quick. I know that's not right. Apologies. We'll just do submit test. So what I like to do is I like to stop when I've reached 100%. So I only got 20% on that. That's all right. I need to keep learning it. But I know when to stop studying when I've reached 100% 3 times. So whether that's different tests, because it'll recycle different questions based off of how long your set list is, like how many terms are in your study set. It'll recycle different questions. So when I've gotten 100 3 times, that means that there's been different types of questions. I've gotten them right. I'm ready to go. So once I've done that, I feel really confident in my ability to take whatever test I'm taking. And I'll go back and show you too how to mention this a little bit earlier, but how I like to organize my study sets. So I'll go back to home. Okay, so here I have all my study sets. I hit a 3-day streak, or I'll hit it tomorrow. And this is what I mentioned with Rory. One of my favorite incentivizers is knowing I've reached a streak. Feels good. I like the way the little flame looks. It reminds me of confetti, so it makes me happy. But you have your home, and then when you go to library, you'll see it here. So expert solutions, I'll talk about that in a minute. And then you have courses and folders. So under courses or under folders, I'll go here and you can view all folders. So I have one for my economics class, and I only have one in there, but it'll show you. So 3 sets, I have anthro, different ones. And then for my ancient Rome, I have different ones. And let's say I wanted to split it up into courses yet. So the great thing about this too is I've already registered my school under this. So if I am taking, let's say I'm taking Art 8 next year, you can look and it'll show up all the classes that it has under that. And then you're able to see the Quizlet. Now, this is one of my favorites too, because you can open course and you can see all of it, but just being able to add those courses keeps everything really, really organized. And it's super efficient. Now I'll also show you here, I'll view all my sets. I'll show you guys how to put some into a folder. Okay, so I have this set right here, but it doesn't have a folder. So what I'll do is I'll go to the plus and folder, actually, oh, it is already in the folder. Okay, well, I go to folders here and I can see microecon, and then you can see that it's already in a folder, added to microecon. There you go. And that's great. And let's try adding that other one again. Go to study sets. Here we go. So I'll click the edit, and this also helps me see how I want to edit it. So here's the terms, here's the definitions. I can add an image if I want to. And this is really perfect. And you can enter your course code. So if I have, like if I was taking Spanish, I could add that to Spanish or whichever one. And it's all saved. So you don't have to worry about it getting deleted or any of that stuff. Okay. So I have my econ fold set and I want to add it to my econ folder. So I just press the 3 dots at the right and I do add to class or folder. Add to class. I don't have a class created yet, but I want to add it to this one. And that's it. All I do is press the little plus right there. And if I want to take it out, I press the minus. And there you go. It is all saved. Alrighty. So next I'll talk a little bit about the settings that you have here. The great thing about this is it's super versatile. You can take it anywhere. You can use it on your phone, your computer, your iPad. It's perfect. So here I have that Spanish course that I added that I was taking, but let's say I'm taking 8 classes. I can keep adding as many as I'd like. And then you can choose your little profile picture. It adds some fun to it. And here we have our different types of modes. So there's system default, which will, when it's bright out, it'll go to light mode. And then when it's nighttime, it'll go to dark mode. Or here, if I just want to keep it on light mode the whole time, then I can do that. And if I want to keep it on dark mode the whole time, I can do that. I prefer dark mode, especially if I'm in a library or something like that. My screen's already really bright. So having it on dark mode kind of keeps me less distracted and my eyes don't hurt as much after a while. And here you can choose your language. So if you're in a different country or you want to learn differently, you can change it. And your email, all of that stuff. And here's the email reminders that I was talking about that keep me motivated. So study reminders. So I have mine set to 10 a.m. every day. So I'll get a reminder that says, hey, don't forget to study for your anthro class, or hey, you've got a test coming up. Don't forget to get in some extra study time. So I get that at 10 a.m. daily, which I love. I also get the email updates as well. But yeah, that's a great part of it. Alrighty, so now we're done with the settings. I'll talk to you guys a little bit about expert solutions. So this is actually new to me. I haven't used it too much, but from when I have used it, it has been super helpful. So the great part about this is ISBN's college, high school textbooks. They are so clunky and they're a pain to carry around. And so this is great. I have my study sets in one place, I have my terms in one place, and now I can have my textbooks and questions in one place. So you know what? I want to work on some econ. So I look up economics. They have the 8th edition, the 7th edition, and they have all these different editions, which is great because, you know, sometimes we get assigned different editions. So let's say I want to do this one. Pulls up the ISBN number, and it shows you all the different chapters that are in the book. And it breaks it down. So if I'm in chapter 1, you know, I just took it, I want to know a little bit more about it. It shows me how each step is solved and the process. So it says, we want to decide this. Here's how you do it. And then here's the answer. So I love this so much. So that's the solution. So rated 5 stars. But you can keep going. So let's say you're only assigned like chapter 4. You can skip to chapter 4. You can go by page. You can go by each exercise. And this is a great way to study the material, especially if the class is textbook based. Now, I remember for some of my history classes, it was really rough too, because I'd be carrying them around or my friends would need questions and they wouldn't have it. So this is a perfect way to just have it all in one place. And it's super easy. You just see how you want to solve it, solution A and solution B. And it's great. And it walks you through everything. Yeah, so those are my favorite parts of Quizlet. I hope that this was helpful. It is a really, really helpful resource, especially throughout high school and college. It's been great to have it. And it's really user-friendly. It may take a second for students to figure it out, but it's great. And we used it in classes and it really helped me. So I highly recommend it and I hope you guys enjoy using it.
Nora, thank you. That was very, very informative. I'm really thankful for everything that you shared with how you're using it. You mentioned a few times throughout about, you know, what made you feel good about using Quizlet, and those moments always stick out to me the most for sure. You know, it seems like when you're using Quizlet to study and you are super motivated. There was a lot of comments in the chat going, wow, she's really motivated. Like, we wish all of our students were like you, Nora, that you were really actively studying and, you know, just making study sets and actually using them is very impressive. But just, it's helped your confidence so much, right? Like, you feel very confident when you've studied and then you've taken these assessments.
Absolutely, yeah. And even walking into the test, the worst is when I walk in and I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing. I don't know any of the answers on this. I don't know any of the questions. I don't recognize any of it. So having an online tool to use, I can take anywhere with me, even if I'm like, oh, I have 5 minutes, my laundry's almost dry. I can just study it and it helps me feel so much more confident. And walking out of the test too, it still sucks if you feel like, man, I didn't do that well on the test. But I know I did my best and I studied as hard as I could have and I used all the resources I could have.
Do you feel like you're using Quizlet more on the phone or your laptop, or like a mix of both?
I would say, that's a good question. I would say my computer, because I've really made an effort this first year in college to try and sit down and study. I did sports throughout high school, so I'd study on the bus. I'd study like everywhere I could. So it wasn't the most fun, but in college, yeah, the computer, really trying to sit down. And I have all now, like with QChat and the textbooks, it's great to have that right in front of me and I can do work in front of me and have the computer up.
Mm-hmm. And so you're planning on using, obviously, Quizlet going into this fall semester and planning that out. You're already planning out like what you're registered for and what you're going to do. Do you find that you're doing like a mix of making your own sets and finding sets that are already created, or what do you prefer?
Yeah, for sure. I prefer to make my own sets because it also forces me to type in the definition and I have to read the definition. I have to learn it and I have to know what term goes with it. So I also see that as another form of studying, kind of like writing down my own flashcards. I have to do that to learn it. So I prefer to make my own. Now, if there's already one for a class that's existed, so like for my anthro class, there were already a few that were made. And if I don't have enough time or I'm like, you know what, it's just not worth it for me to go through 107 terms and do this all again, then I'll find another student that's made it. Most of the time it's accurate, which is great. Sometimes there are a few questions here and there that I didn't learn or I don't need to know. But I prefer, yeah, to make my own.
Yeah, that could be the hard part, right? Not knowing what cards are really actually not part of what you were, getting assessed on, and what was
Mhm.
maybe extra or not, something there for sure. How long sometimes do you study? Do you study sometimes in like a short few minutes, like whenever you can? Are you in the mornings when you're studying, are they these little chunks of time, bigger chunks of time? Do they vary?
Yeah,
What are
yeah.
your
So
difference?
it depends on the day. I really try to do. I mentioned earlier the Pomodoro method. So I try and study for 20 minutes, take a 5-minute break, and slowly build up. Because even that 5-minute break, unfortunately, it is used on TikTok. But it does help me kind of keep going and find some extra motivation. And then I can be like, okay, I've got to sit down for these 20 minutes and I've got to do it. And that's perfect because I just go to the library, put up my computer, and study. Now, if I'm on the move or I've got a test coming up tomorrow, but I don't have a lot of time, then that's when I'll just maybe do it here and there, 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and I'll do the learn method for that one. So it's great to just kind of have it. And if I miss 5 questions, it's all right. And you can pause and start whenever. So there's no time limit, and it's really easy.
So for all the educators that are here listening to you and watching you and seeing how you did your Quizlet presentation, do you have any other maybe pieces of advice or things that we might want to share with our students as far as, hey, like, this is how you should use this, or definitely set something up this way? Is there anything that comes to mind that you feel like might be good for us to share with our students so they can feel as successful as you're feeling?
Yeah, I'd say trying to find the fun in it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with B courses or Canvas, but I loved it when I'd submit an assignment, it would have confetti. And that was great. I love that. So maybe just trying to find the fun in it. And in my classes, we would do, I can't remember what it's called, but you would get up into teams and you'd have to match it on Quizlet and find the term with your team. I love doing that. It was really
Quizlet
interactive.
Live?
Yeah, Quizlet Live. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, I love doing that in school. And it also forced me too, if someone knew all the information, I could be like, oh, yikes, like, I don't feel great about that. So it would motivate me too and be like, okay, if everyone else in the class is knowing this and I'm not, maybe I should change the way I'm learning or something like that. I'd say also just mixing it up. It's really easy to get bored of flashcards. So having the test, the learn feature, and even the AI just to kind of help guide you along has been super, super helpful.
What do you think Quizlet could add in the future that would make it even a better experience for you? What do you
Hmm.
wish it had? What would be like from
Oh,
your perspective? Like, oh my gosh, if it had this, that would
it'd be
be.
golden. I wish I had confetti, but that's all right. I'll survive.
We'll get on the
I'd
confetti.
okay, perfect. Thank
At
you.
Quizlet, you hear that? We want confetti.
Yeah. I'd say other than that, I think more like interactive features. So being able to get a like draw pictures possibly, or like econ, I have to draw graphs for that. So being able to maybe send a picture of that in and be like, hey, does this graph look all right? Especially with AI, that'd be super helpful. And math work. So if Quizlet, I've struggled a little bit using for math because it's a lot of it's not as much term based. But being able to be given a problem and be like, here's my answer, here's the way I worked it through, and sending it into maybe AI or something like that, and having it grade would be like fantastic. And it telling me where I went wrong or highlighting what went wrong would be awesome.
Oh, definitely. That would be amazing. So hope Quizlet, you're listening, right?
Yeah, confetti first though.
Confetti first. That's definitely the most important. I say, and that's really, you mentioned about streaks before, and streaks are such a big deal. And I'm too old to care about, caring about like a Snapchat streaks where I know that's like people care about that, and I'm too old for that. But you have that like fun incentive. It's like a little bit of fun,
Hmm.
right? And it just keeps it going for sure. That's exciting. Well, Nora, this has been such an informative, great session. I'm going to just kind of go through some of the Q&A that's here to see if we have anything that kind of goes along with like everything you showed us, Nora, was part of your the free Quizlet account, correct? Like there was nothing that you showed that was part of the pro?
A couple things were, but they're all accessible under the regular one. So you can do them all. The only thing different with the Pro is you can just do it a little bit more times.
Exactly, and you can add some images in if you wanted to, but
Exactly.
really you could grab anyone's study set that also has images in it and
Mhm.
study off of that.
Yeah.
So it's only if you wanted to have created your own, because there were some questions about what version of you had that you had. And I also like that it was already synced with your college. So you were already part of this whole community, Quizlet community for your
For
college,
sure.
which is really, really cool to see. Because that's something that I wouldn't have been able to even know was a thing because I teach in high school and I can link my high school, but I don't really see too much going on for the other courses that are there.
Yeah.
So great. Excellent. Well, this has been a super informative session. I think that we're going to be able to give everyone a little bit of time because we have about 8 or 9 minutes until we go into our next session for our sections, our content sections. I'm losing my words. I'm hosting a math session in about 8 minutes. So if you guys want to go back, head back over to the Zoom events page. You're getting a lot of thank yous in this chat, Nora. Everyone is super thankful for you here. We can all take a moment. We can get ready for what we want to go to for our next session. The response has been wonderful. So Nora, we want to thank you for your amazing session. We are super thankful for this. Remember, everyone, this session has been recorded and it's going to be accessible through the Zoom events page until August 9th. So you can rewatch and make sure that you're getting all of Nora's tips and tricks, because I know I'm going to be using them when I teach my students this year how to make the most out of Quizlet for their own experience. So this was a student story. So it's the first session from day 2. So when we get the lineup on Zoom events for the recordings, you will be able to see that. Thank you, Nora, so much.
Yeah, thank you all. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. And bye, everyone. We'll see you at the next few sessions. Make sure you go back to your Zoom events page to find your next session. Bye, everyone.